newscast in true high definition, broadcasting live from 12 studios. This is News 12 at noon.
Right now at noon, the victims of a crash in Atoka last week are being remembered today. And another big day today for those both for and against same-sex marriage. Plus, new information in the shooting in Tucson, Arizona that injured Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. The latest is straight ahead. Good afternoon, Texoma. Thank you for joining us for News 12 at noon. I'm Rita Cote. Pictures are just coming into our newsroom of a fire that is burning right now in Marshall County. It started at about 10:30 when firefighters were called to Powell Road in Lebanon. The homeowner was not home at the time of the fire and no injuries have been reported. 4 different fire departments are on the scene. Officials are saying the home will be a total loss. A former Sherman police chief has been arrested for the sexual assault of a child. Sherman's police chief from 1988 to 1994, Stephen Charles PILANT, was taken into custody at his home around noon yesterday after the department issued a warrant for his arrest. He was booked into the Grayson County Jail and released 2 hours later on a $10,000 surety bond. His lawyer, Bob Jarvis, tells us PILANT was recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. We'll have more on this story tonight on News 12. 2 people died after a 3-vehicle accident near Roth last night. According to troopers, the crash happened on State Highway 1 south of County Road 1620. 22-year-old Lauren Hatton was driving southbound when she left her lane, hit a trailer being pulled by a truck, and then crashed head-on into a third car driving northbound. That car was driven by 47-year-old Boyd Bolin, who died at the scene. Hatton died on the way to the hospital. Her 2-month-old son was airlifted to a hospital in stable condition. The funeral service for 3 people killed in a crash Friday will be held today at Tushka High School. Brown's funeral service says 52-year-old Carol Lang, 6-year-old Kaylin Lang, and 4-year-old Blake Lang died after Carol lost control of her SUV and collided with a tour bus off Highway 69 and West Bogey Depot Road. Tushka police say 2 young girls were also hurt in the accident. Police are still investigating the crash. A local businessman has been elected to join the TMC Board of Directors. Tom Johnson agreed to serve as a member. Johnson has been active in the Texoma area since the early 80s. He currently serves as the director for First United Bank in Durant, as well as on several other North Texas boards. He now joins 11 other board members. CEO Ron Seal says Johnson has been active in helping develop the area around the hospital and will be a great addition to the board of directors. Let's take a moment now to talk a little bit about the weather. Meteorologist Tom Miller is joining us now. And Tom, how are things looking for us today?
Looking pretty good as we still have plenty of sunshine. Temperatures are warming nicely, but the winds are starting to pick up and they will be gusty throughout the day. Now, as for some cloud cover, we will see some high clouds filter over the area throughout a good portion of this afternoon. And you can see winds already gusting up to around 26 in Durant, wind gusts of near 30 in Sherman and Denison, 32 in Gainesville, and 28 in Ardmore. Our daily planner, we're looking at a temperature of 67 this afternoon under mostly sunny skies, and want to caution you, if you enjoy the sunshine, you better get out today because we're going to see plenty in the way of clouds over the next several days. At 8 o'clock, grab a jacket, 60 degrees, partly cloudy, and we're looking at south winds of 15 to 25 at 10 o'clock. Partly to mostly cloudy and 54. Temperatures will be able to warm into the 70s this weekend, but there's a catch, Rita. It may come at the price of some showers and thunderstorms. Our forecast is coming up, so don't go away.
Thanks, Tom. A developing story now. For a second day, demonstrators are outside the Supreme Court as the justices hear a case involving gay marriage. Today's arguments are on the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, focusing on a provision that keeps married gay Americans from getting the same federal benefits that other married couples get. Lower federal courts have struck down the measure.
Opinions have changed since the Proposition 8 vote, and I think in California, if they had a vote now, they would probably allow same-sex marriage.
Hunters across the country are boycotting Colorado because of recent legislation meant to curtail gun violence. Michael Bain, a producer for the Outdoor Channel, announced he will no longer film his 4 shows in Colorado, and hunters are joining the protest. The governor signed bills this month that ban ammunition magazines that hold more than 15 rounds and require background checks for private and online gun sales. Those new gun laws and others were drawn up in response to mass killings in the Aurora Theater shooting and the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting. For the first time, hundreds of pages of police reports will be made public today in the investigation of the Tucson, Arizona shooting rampage that killed 6 people and wounded 12 others, including former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. The reports will include information given to police from the shooter's mother. That shooter, Jared Lee Loeffner, was sentenced in November to 7 consecutive life sentences, plus 140 years after pleading guilty to federal charges. After 3 attacks on women in the Lake Highlands, Texas area, residents are finding themselves asking what they would do if someone attacked them. As Andrea Lucia shows us, there are tactics you can learn that can help.
You arrive home and find yourself under attack. What would you do? This scene played out at a training facility for Trident Security Group, where Tamara Shelley is a teacher.
It is okay to turn the tables on them and fight back.
In Lake Highlands, where a rapist has broken into 3 homes in recent weeks, women are lining up for self-defense classes.
Turned into hundreds of people coming.
All of them want to learn what Shelley can teach.
I would like to be a little bit better equipped.
There are specific skills.
I'm not trying to grab and pry. I'm just attacking him at the thumbs with this pluck. It's going to be dynamic.
But there is also a mindset.
Start preparing your mind. What would I do if? What am I going to do in that situation if it happens to me?
And here in Lake Highlands,
I think my response would just be clawing, hitting, biting, scratching, kicking.
many women say they are preparing for a fight.
We don't want to take it anymore.
That was Andrea Lucia reporting. Coming up on News 12 at noon, there may be some good news on the job front. We'll share it with you after the break. But first, let's take a live look outside with the Tower Cam. We sure thank you for spending part of your lunch hour with us. We'll be right back.
Stocks are lower as investors wait to see whether Cyprus can restore confidence in its battered banking system. The island nation is expected to reopen its banks tomorrow after a nearly 2-week shutdown. An international bailout agreement calls for large deposits to be taxed heavily to help pay for the rescue. Investors are also keeping an eye on Italy, where political parties are struggling to form a new government. The government is easing mortgage rules for some troubled borrowers here in the U.S. whose loans are backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Homeowners who are at least 90 days late on their mortgages won't have to submit financial documents in order to lower their loan rate. To qualify, borrowers need to make 3 on-time payments. The program takes effect July 1st. And Madonna can afford to be a material girl now that the pop star has joined the Billionaires Club. Women's Wear Daily estimates Madonna's net worth to be around $700 million. But other investments pushed her over the $1 billion mark, including her perfume, clothing, and shoe lines, and other investments. And that's your Money Watch. For more, stay with CBSMoneyWatch.com. In New York, I'm Alexis Christoforous.
An economist at the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas expects jobs in Texas to grow at a slightly slower pace than last year, but still at a faster pace than the nation overall. Officials say jobs grew 3% last year, and the state unemployment rate fell from 7.4% at the end of 2011 to 6.1% a year later. Texas produced more jobs last year than all but 2 states, North Dakota and Utah. They say that predicts jobs growth will slow this year because manufacturing and energy extraction will slow down. Taxes are due in 3 weeks, but you may have a lot more to worry about than the IRS. Thieves are stealing identities and refunds. John Miller has more.
23-year-old Sergeant Adam Ray died fighting the war in Afghanistan. But before his family could file his taxes, someone else had already done it and collected $1,400 on a refund that should have gone to Adam's parents.
How can someone do this? I mean, my son gave his life for you. Now you're going to steal what little few dollars he has left?
This military family was the victim of a growing crime wave, tax return fraud. Thieves steal Social Security numbers and other personal data from the dead and the living and then file a return in their name. U.S. Postal Inspector Tom Boyle has even seen cases where multiple returns were filed using one stolen ID.
You're looking just in this one bucket over $3 million worth of fraud.
In just a couple of weeks?
In a couple of weeks, yes.
So why is this crime exploding? Two factors. Because online companies like TurboTax make filing taxes fast and easy, and the IRS, in an effort to get the refunds out quickly, does not cross-check tax returns against employers' payroll records. To exploit that, scammers buy lists of names and social security numbers of living people on the black market and troll internet family support sites to steal the identities of the dead.
So can you ballpark how much the IRS is paying out to people who are not the taxpayer?
It's a number that I can't get my head around. We know one company that you can file through. There was over 300 million filed alone.
And there's 20 of those companies.
And there's 20 of those companies.
That was John Miller reporting. Let's check in again with meteorologist Tom Miller. Tom, how are things looking for us? Not too bad. We've seen kind of an up and down this week.
Yeah, it has been up and down. We've had the sunshine, a beautiful day yesterday, and we're going to see mostly sunny skies today. The winds are going to pick up, and that spells changes that'll take place. And Rita, those changes include, well, some warmer temperatures and a chance of rain, and possibly through our Easter weekend. Our forecast is coming up.
You're watching News 12 at noon with Rita Cote. And from the Weather Authority, here's Tom Miller.
Well, it is windy this noon hour, but at least we have mostly sunny skies, and we're seeing warmer temperatures than we did yesterday. This is looking at our Sherman Tower Cam. This is brought to you by Glen Polk Autoplex and Supercenter in Gainesville. We are looking off towards the southwest, and you can see some of those high cirrus clouds that have drifted across the area. And if we take a look at the satellite, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. We got a lobe of high clouds extending from Enid to Oklahoma City along the I-35 corridor and drifting easterly across Texoma. But again, we're going to go with mostly sunny skies, and it's one of those days you need to get out and enjoy some sunshine because we're going to see much more in the way of clouds over the next several days. The lows were not nearly as cold as we had yesterday. Remember, we were getting down in the mid-20s yesterday. Well, Colgate at 32 degrees. Ardmore saw a low of 38, 40 in Sherman and Denison. Paris at 33 for a low. We had 37 in Bonham, 36 degrees in Davis and Sulphur. Durant at 35, Ada at 38. Currently 60 degrees in Sherman and Denison, 55 degrees in Ada, 61 degrees in Ardmore and Durant under mostly sunny skies. The relative humidity is still somewhat low, anywhere from 25% to about 38%, but those winds have picked up out of the south to southeast, gusting up to in excess of 25 miles per hour in some areas. Pauls Valley at 55 degrees. We have 57 in Hugo. Paris also reporting 57 in Bonham, 58 degrees in Gainesville. And there's your wind gusts up to near 30 in Sherman and Denison, wind gusts of 32 in Gainesville, 29 in McKinney. Ada has a wind gust of 25, 28 is a wind gust in Ardmore. And our 24-hour temperature change, we're a good 15 degrees warmer this noon hour than we were yesterday at noon, and it's all thanks to those winds turning around out of the south to southeast. Highs yesterday, mid-50s. The low started out in the mid-20s. A normal high should be around 69. We should be almost pushing 70 degrees across Texoma for this time of the year, and the normal lows around 48. And again, we're going to see some above normal temperatures over the next few days, but at the price of some cloud cover and some scattered showers. High tree pollen, and most of that again is the maple and the mulberry. Also, we have some oak and low mold and low grass pollen. I'm continuing to show you this Gulf of Alaska satellite. This is the next big storm system that's going to affect our area. What's going to happen is we're going to see chunks of energy break off of that and move our way, and each chunk of energy is going to go right over Texoma, picking up some low-level moisture and depositing it back as scattered showers and thunderstorms. Right now, though, just high clouds. We do have a few light returns on the radar in portions of Colorado, and Pacific Northwest still very quiet. We got a weak frontal system out there, and that may give us an opportunity to have an isolated shower Thursday night. But until then, well, it's going to be a battle between the high pressure system to our east and the low to our west, leaving us windy conditions. But look at all the cloud cover we're expecting. And again, we'll have just enough lift at times with those weak disturbances that we could see some scattered showers and thunderstorms. And we're hoping by at least Tuesday we could have an inch to maybe an inch and a half in the rain gauge. If it's going to have to rain, we might as well get some good and measurable rain, which we desperately need. Our daily planner at 3 o'clock, we're looking at 67 degrees, but those wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. Even at 8 o'clock, those winds staying with us out of the southeast at 10 to 20, temperature around 60, south winds at 15 to maybe 20. At 10 o'clock, around 54 degrees, a high of 64 in Paris today, 66 in Ada. We'll see 66 in Atoka, Gainesville 68. Ardmore should top out around 68 to near 70. Sherman and Denison 67, 67 in Durant. A low of 44 in Paris, again, south winds holding the temperature up. Ada at 44 for a low, 47 in Nakona, 45 in Ardmore. Sherman and Denison 44 degrees. And our extended forecast 66, but mostly cloudy and windy Thursday, Friday, 60% chance of scattered showers, 68. Temperatures in the lower 70s Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And Rita, again, a chance at scattered showers and thunderstorms. It won't be a complete rain out, but again, you may get a burst of rain, and then it'll taper off for a little bit. And we even have a chance of showers and thunderstorms Monday and Tuesday with highs of 65 on Tuesday.
Thanks, Tom. Well, if you find a few ants marching along the wall in your kitchen, it may be time to call an exterminator. It can also mean that making a few changes in your environment will likely take care of an insect or rodent problem. In today's Angie's List report, tips to keep your home pest-free.
If you find that you have unwanted bugs in your house, a lot of times people might try to tackle this project on their own. But if you see that you've got a persistent issue, it's probably time to call in the expert. You can call a pest control company that can come in, and they have a lot of different products they can use to take care of the situation.
One thing to remember is not all methods are going to be good for children or the pets in your home. So remember to ask questions if you're doing it yourself or hiring a professional, and try to keep the water away from your house. Insects need a sufficient amount of moisture to survive. A good rule of thumb is to keep the water away, your tree limbs off your roof, and keep your firewood piles away from the house and off the ground. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Well, many of us have heard the term "put your money where your mouth is," and it talks about owning up to what you say you're going to do. Dr. Terry Cunningham joining us. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Doing really well. And so, just doing what you say you will do, being compassionate, and not going past beyond what you can do, but just taking care of what you can.
It's actually having feelings for someone and then following through more than just, oh, that's the saddest thing I ever saw, or oh, that's terrible, but then you go on about your life. It's actually going further and putting action to what your feelings are. Now, I don't know about you, but I hear a lot of people that blow a lot of hot air. And it's like, oh, somebody needs to do something about so-and-so. And it's like, well, have you thought of doing something about that? Oh, I don't have time. Or, oh, I'm just me. I'm just one person. I can't do anything. We can do a whole lot to help other people if we want to do that. And I think we have to pick. It's kind of like what you said. You can't do everything about everything.
Right.
But you can pick certain things that mean a lot to you and make a difference.
When we hear issues about, catastrophe, or, someone has a house fire or anything like that, what do you think stops people from going the extra mile from just the thought about what's happened and being sad to the actual action of doing something to help?
I don't know if people will agree with what I'm going to say, but I think people start laying blame. House fire, well, were they smoking in bed? And it's like, if they were, then I'm not going to have any compassion or sympathy for them. Or, they should know better than to do that. So there gets to be a lot of judgmentalness that I think does keep people from doing the right thing and caring for other people. it's like if a child gets hurt or something, it's like, well, the parent should have watched them better. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of judgmentalness that comes in. I think that prevents people from doing it. Another is, I'm too busy. I'm sorry they're going through that. I don't want to think about it, because if I think about it, it's going to upset me.
Wow. And do you find that some patients maybe don't even get to that point of having compassion at all? Do you see that?
I think compassion is a higher level of caring, again, because it has action that is implied in it. It isn't just feeling sorry. You know, the difference between empathy and sympathy is whether you personally can feel it. And compassion is feeling it and then choosing to do something about it. And that's where a lot of people just, they don't go that extra step for whatever reason. But I do think there's a lot of judgmentalness about it.
So what's your best advice to people today?
I think you pick an area that you want to make a difference and do the best you can to make a difference in that area. You cannot be everything to everyone. You cannot take such a broad stroke that you end up doing nothing. Everything's watered down. But pick something that you can make a difference on and go that extra mile. I mean, what is life about? Why are we here? You know, it's kind of a time to begin thinking about that in all of our lives.
Awesome. Definitely a lot to think about. We appreciate you coming in.
You bet.
Stay tuned. A final check of the weather is coming up. Before we go, Moody Gardens in Galveston has an adorable new resident. The king penguin chick hatched earlier this month but suffered an injury shortly after getting out of its shell. The tough chick made a quick recovery, so zookeepers decided to name it Watt after Houston Texans defensive end J.J. Watt. We're not sure if Watt is a boy or a girl. Zookeepers will eventually perform a blood test to determine that.
Looks hungry.
Yeah. And they don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet. You can't just tell?
I don't know.
Oh, guess not. Thank you for joining us. You can go to KXII.com. Have a great day.